Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today I have some easy summer DIY decor to share with you, so let's get started. For project number 1, I have this wall clock that I found at the Goodwill, and I'm just going to remove the back, taking the screws out, removing the hands, and then that battery mechanism. Then I'm taking this fabric fat quarter that I found at Hobby Lobby with this adorable sunflower print on it. I'm going to open it up and then just cut out a square that's big enough to cover the front of that clock face. Then using my Cricut spatula, which I am still not sure what this thing is actually meant to be used for, but I am using it to remove this paper clock face from the cardboard. That way we have a nice clean surface to adhere our fabric to. And I'm taking my decoupage glue here, putting a nice layer down on top of the cardboard, adding my fabric, smoothing out all of the wrinkles, and then we are going to add another layer of the decoupage glue on top. And I do take the glue a little bit past the cardboard and the fabric so that once it dries, it becomes a little stiffer and easier to cut off the excess with your X-Acto knife. Next, we are moving on to the wooden part of the clock frame, and I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white, and I gave this 3 coats of paint to make sure it was nice and covered and none of that wood was going to be peeking through. Once that dried, I'm taking a 220 grit sandpaper and I'm lightly distressing all of the edges, all of those like corners where there's a little detail at. I don't like heavy distressing, but feel free to distress a piece to whatever makes you happy. But I didn't really like how light the distressing looked in that wood tone that was peeking through underneath. So I took my black Sharpie, went over all of those distressing lines, and then sanded that down a little bit as well to lighten it up and make it all look cohesive. Next, I forgot to hit record, but I just took some vinyl, cut out some numbers on my Cricut machine, and taking this Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint in the color rose gold, I spray painted both my vinyl cutout numbers and the clock hands. I wanted them to both match, but I didn't have a like rose gold colored vinyl, and I wasn't really sure if spray painting the vinyl would work, but it actually worked out perfectly. Next, I'm going to add all of my numbers around the outside of the clock face this time rather than on the inside, which is how it was when I bought it. And I am using my Cricut weeding tool here to just kind of go over the outsides, like outline the numbers before peeling them off of the vinyl backing. That way I don't peel up any of that excess spray paint with it. And I mostly eyeballed it here. I used my L roller to make sure my 6 and my 12 were pretty lined up as best as I could get them. And then for the rest of the numbers, I just eyeballed it and spaced them out as evenly as I could. Once I had all of my numbers attached to the wooden frame, I'm taking my polyacrylic. I thought I grabbed matte here, but it actually looks a little shiny, so I may have grabbed my satin by accident, but I just want to make sure that I seal in all of that vinyl and it's not going anywhere. Next, we can add everything back together. So I'm taking my little watch hands, putting them back onto the fabric front, screwing the back onto the frame, and I thought we were done here, guys, but as usual, something goes wrong. I made a mistake when I put the numbers on. I didn't pay attention to where this was going to hang up on the wall. So here's my hanger right here, which if we hung it up would be totally sideways. So I already sealed this. I'm not taking the numbers off, and I can't, even if I change the direction of this and put it up here, it's still like off. Like it would be like this, like the 1 would be more up top than the 12. So totally didn't pay attention to that. This is actually the bottom too, so I did it totally upside down. Like this is where the top should be, right here. But it is what it is. It's fine. So we just had to come up with a creative solution for hanging this on the wall. So I have this, this is Dollar Tree leather ribbon, and I just had glued 2 pieces together. I had this sitting around for a while. I was gonna use it on something else. But I think I'm gonna just use it on this so we can then hang up our clock facing the right direction. I added on that leather ribbon with my hot glue gun, and that was it for this project. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I was a little upset by having to add that leather strap at first, but the more I look at it, I think it has that vintage old school pocket watch vibe, and I absolutely love it. This is also the most involved project in today's video. The next few are super, super simple. Moving on to project number 2, I am taking this Dollar Tree vase along with some Dollar Tree nautical rope. This is the 9.5 foot nautical rope, and I use almost 3 pieces. We are going to start attaching the nautical rope around the vase using some hot glue. This is such an easy project. Now I know that hot glue and glass do not get along. They are not friends, but as I go around, I attach that very bottom row to the glass itself because I needed something to adhere it to. But then as we move up to the next row and everything after that, I add the hot glue so that it is touching mostly the nautical rope. A little bit of it is on the glass as well, but we are mostly attaching the rope to itself for each layer. And we're just going to continue repeating this process all the way around, all the way up the glass vase. Whenever my strands of rope end, I do make sure to end them all in the same exact spot so that they can all be on the back of the vase. And I don't know why I didn't show you guys that part. As I get to the top, I am going up above that glass rim of the vase by like 1 line. That way you can't see the glass. Then I'm going to cut my nautical rope off at an angle, and we're going to hot glue that kind of down inside of the vase, and you can see what I'm doing here. So I didn't realize this until it was too late, but apparently I had 2 different styles of nautical rope. It does bother me a little bit, but there's nothing I can do about it. It is too late to change it now, so it is what it is. Next, I'm taking a lighter and singeing off all of those little fraying fuzzy bits off of the nautical rope. This part is certainly optional. If you like that more rustic look, by all means, leave it the way it is. So what we are doing with this vase is turning it into an adorable beehive. I absolutely love bees. So I just grabbed a votive candle holder, used that for my circle shape, outlined it with a Sharpie, and I'm filling it in with my black Waverly chalk paint. I didn't think the black Waverly chalk paint was dark enough after it dried, so I do go back over it with my apple barrel acrylic paint just to give it a more deep black and rich look. Next, I'm taking one of the leftover pieces of nautical rope, and we are going to outline that black circle so that it looks like the opening to our beehive. And for a last little detail here, I wanted to make it look like there was honey dripping out of that beehive opening. So I'm taking my mini hot glue gun and I just start pouring on the hot glue or pumping on the hot glue, and then I let it drip. Once it starts to drip and I'm happy with the way it's starting to look, I tilted it back, let it cool, and then I repeated that process a few times until I was happy with the way the honey looked. And then I just added in a little bit of lavender floral, and that was it for this one. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments. I know this is not an original idea. This has been done before, but it is so cute and so fun for summer decor. For project number 3, I'm taking this cutting board that I got from Ikea. I believe it was about $8. I think it was $7.99. And I'm going to show you the name of it here because I'm sure I'm going to butcher it. It looks like it says prop mat, but I'm sure that is not correct. For this project, I am taking my ivory colored chalk paint with a small chippy brush, and I am dry brushing over this whole cutting board. Now, I wanted to use a dry brushing method because I wanted to start building up the layers of the paint. I want some of the wood to peek through, but I didn't want to paint the whole thing and then go back and sand it. That certainly is an option if you prefer to do it that way, but I really loved the way this was looking by just building and building on the layers until I was happy with the result. And I loved how you could see some of the wood. Some areas were a little bit thinner with the paint, some areas were a little bit thicker. I just thought this turned out beautiful. Once I was happy with how the paint was looking, I'm taking this Dollar Tree wall decal and I'm gonna start placing these dandelion stickers in a staggered pattern. I end up using 4 of them. I wanted to add on those little wishy pieces. I don't know what they're actually called. That's what I call them. But I wanted to make it look like this was blowing in the wind, but I didn't love how this was turning out. I love the idea of it, but I don't know if I used too big of pieces, if the way I had them spaced just wasn't right, but I just didn't end up loving it. So I removed those and just left the dandelions themselves. I might play around with this at a later date, see if I can get it to look a little bit better, but for now, we're going with just the dandelions. Next, I took some 220 grit sandpaper, scuffed up the stickers to make it all look cohesive, and then I am sealing everything in with my polyacrylic again. And this is not going to be a functional cutting board, it is simply a decor piece for the kitchen. But that was it for this one. Super, super simple again, and I absolutely love the way this looks. However, I am not going to show you how it looks staged in my actual kitchen because that is one room I have yet to touch in my house and I am not very happy with the way it looks right now. For project number 4, we are heading outside.
Pause for the pity. You're so handsome.
I wanted to use a branch for a wall decor piece, so I figured I would head outside to my backyard to this giant pile of sticks that I already have. I actually grabbed this stick to use a few months ago in a video, but didn't end up liking the way it turned out, so I had scrapped that project. You're gonna see here that I have this leather ribbon around the top as the hanger. We do end up removing that, and this is actually the leather ribbon that we use on the clock in the first DIY, so that's why I don't even show me adding that to this stick. I'm taking a combination of flowers, so I have this sunflower and this tweedia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Both of those are from Walmart, along with these mini mums from the Dollar Tree. I know these are more of a fall floral, but I really loved the color combination of these 3 and wanted to use it on this piece. First thing I'm going to do is take one of these craft sticks and hot glue it to the back of my sunflower. It has that like kind of indent and it's dome shaped, so I needed something flat to adhere it to the branch. And then I also wanted to use this craft stick to adhere the rest of my florals to as well, to have that flat surface. Then I started taking all of my florals and playing around with the placement of them. I wanted it to kind of look like it was flowing from the left to the right. So that's why I have my big sunflower here in the middle, and then I start cascading my orange flowers off to the right and then slightly a little bit on the left as well. And I just hot glued everything down in place, adding it on to that craft stick, like I said, so it had a surface to adhere to. Once I had my florals attached, that's when I realized that the leather strip that I had already added on to the branch was not quite long enough. It was kind of covering up, or it was like right above that sunflower. So I decided to remove it and then replace it with my macrame cord, and that way I could change the height. Once I was happy with the height of my macrame cord, I just tied a knot, and then you see me adding in a dab of hot glue to that knot, and that's just going to secure everything together and make sure your knot does not come apart. Next, I just added in some smaller stick twig pieces, some fern greenery, and that was it for this one. Again, another super simple, easy, affordable DIY wall decor piece for the summer. That was a mouthful. But that is it for today, friends. I will leave the link to my website in my description box as a reminder. If you are ever looking to purchase a decor piece that I make, I will have it on my website. I don't list everything, only what I feel is going to hold up over time and what is going to ship and not break on me. And that's all I got for you today. I'll see you in the next one.